next steps. Okay, so let's open up our recent file, see where we stopped. Okay, so we had modeled this part, but I want us to remodel it using one shape, using one job. So it should be X to delete, but it's not working. I'm not sure why. Let me try to right click and go to delete. Right click, go to delete. Okay, so let's go back to front view. Okay, front view, and then now how we're going to let's go to front view, and then we'll create a tube, add object, add mesh tube, and then let's place it right in the middle, right here, because it was created based on where the 3D cursor is. Now I just wanted it here in the center. I can even use Control Z to undo that and bring this 3D cursor at the center by just clicking there. And then if we create a new object, now it's going to be in the center. Okay, so we have our tube. We use letter S to scale on the Y axis with letter Y, and scale on the X axis by using S and Z to scale on the Z axis like that. And then we are going to scale on the X axis by going to X on the side, or you can go back to perspective. And then we scale, sorry about that. We scale on the X like so. Okay, so if we go back to the front, and we can go to the object, the wireframe view. Now in the wireframe, you're not seeing our example, but what you want to do is put cuts here, loop cuts right here and right here. So you just go to edit mode and use this tool here for loop cuts. So we have our loop cut here and here. Okay, so we go back to selection, we select this box, select scale on the Z axis. I think now is the time to bring back our reference. Let's go to material preview, scale on the Z axis. Okay, now it's not selecting the other, it's not selecting through. So let's use wireframe again. Select through, go back to material, scale on the Z axis. I think you can see the corners we are looking for. Now to go to wireframe very quick, you can use Z to bring up this flyout menu. It's called the pie menu in Blender. And then you go to wireframe and you select this. And then Z, go back to solid. Or Z, you go back to material preview. S, Z, scale on the Z axis. And we have that now. Because when you apply subdivision modifier, we are going to get that corner edge, that soft edge right there. So I think let's first move on to the next. Let's go with that for now. We are going to smooth it afterwards. So the next thing is modeling this circle, this round stuff. So we hide this one. Let's go to object mode. We hide this using letter H. We hide, select left click to select this. Left click is not working, but I'm sure if you go back to selection tools, you can be able to select this, use H to hide, go back to the front view. Let's draw some of this round stuff here. Okay, zoom in using the scroll. If you scroll to zoom in, let's get this done. All right. All right. So if you are disconnected, we are going to send, I'm going to send you the recording for today. So if you are disconnected, don't worry. So let's move on. We are modeling this stuff here, and we can do that using a sphere. Can do that using multiple options. You can even use the circle to start with. You can use the torus if you want, but let's use the cylinder, sorry, not the sphere. So with the cylinder, if you go back to perspective mode, perspective view, you notice how it looks like, which tells us we need to rotate it on the X, actually on the Z. Sometimes I get confused too. Which axis I need to rotate this? So I need to rotate this on the Y axis, like this, 90 degrees. So I type 90 and press enter. Let's go back to the front view. Yeah, front view, and let's place this one up here by using letter G to grab, move it up here, scale it down using S. Letter G to grab and place it right here. Scaling, we are going to scale it on the other side. If we go to, let's go to the left side and scale this down on the Z axis. Sorry, not the Z but Y axis. Actually, not the Y but X. Sorry about that. X axis. So we have this small circle. So let's go back to the front. So what we need to do is create that hollow shape inside it. So we are going to go to edit mode to do that. So we go to edit mode, and then let's go back to perspective for a bit. This is what we have. So we go to edge, we select this edge, and then we are going to use this tool right here, insert faces. So when you use that, when you click that, you go back to this shape and you click and drag. So it's creating that effect. Okay, so I think we are going to use undo, and then we go back to the front view. Go back to the front view, and then we do our effect to see how much we want to. Let's first go back to object mode and scale this to the smallest size. Okay, so I think for this one, we are not going to need to create that hollow shape. That one will remain in full. So what we need to do, I realized we need to give it some, thickness. It's too small, and also I think is it too far from our logo? We shall look at that later. But I think it's too small. We need to give it some body. So we need to scale it, I think, on the Y axis. Actually, on the Z. on the X. Okay, scale it a bit. Let's go with that for now. But also we need to reduce the subdivisions on this one. If you go to wireframe, those are all the subdivisions. If you go to object properties right here, let's look for if there's somewhere we can find subdivisions to reduce them a bit. I think it's right in the right here in the object data properties. There's two properties. There's the object properties and object data. So data properties is the data related to the object, and then the object properties will be the properties for the whole object. So the object data properties, the data of the properties of the data in this object, like this, like the vertices and all that stuff. So what we need is the geometry data. Is it the geometry or the mesh vertex or remesh? Yeah, I think it's the remesh. That. Well, this one is let's use a modifier instead. Let's just use a quick modifier, which is subdivision modifier. Where is that? Subdivision surface. Okay, so that's too much. You can reduce it here. Use it in the viewport. You can apply the subdivision later, but the effect will stay here. So you can just turn it off here. The first icon is to turn it off in the render. Then the other icon is to turn it off in the real-time viewport. And the last one is for edit mode. Anyway, so to apply it, we are going to click on apply later after we have described the topology of our object. Let's first go back to this mode. Okay, so let's go back to front view. Let's go to material preview, and then let's duplicate this one. So right click, and you can use copy and paste. Control C, Control V. I think Shift D also duplicates the object. So let's first hide this small one, and the next one we're going to scale it like so. If you want, you can use letter G to put it in place like that. And then it's time to create our effect. So let's go to edit mode, select this edge, and then use this tool right here, insert faces. So if you go to wireframe, no, actually not wireframe, let's stay in that mode. But right now we can be able to, let's first go back to this other view. Okay, so we selected one face, but we needed to do both of them. So we are going to use Control Z. And then we are going to select this other face, holding down Shift. And then in the front, you can scale this using, sorry, you can use this tool, the insert faces, to get the effect we are looking for. All right, so we might want to move this one sorry, this other sphere. I think it's time to create a collection for all of this. So we have all of this in one group. So to do that, we are going to simply close this group and right click to create new collection. Okay, so the next one is empty. So we need to move this stuff in this collection. Let's close this. So we have our two of them in one collection. The first one, can call it the smallest or the inner. You can go on working on the rest. Some can call it outer ring one. So this inner shape, we want to move it a bit. If you go back to object, use letter G to grab it and place it in right here. I think that's why it's supposed to be. Let's go back to edit mode and turn the first one off. Let's work with the second one. So the second one, we want to delete that stuff inside. So let's go back to perspective view. Now we have both sides. We delete that using X, delete faces. And then we have this hollow gap which we need to fill. See that hollow gap? So to fill that, uh, um, if your middle mouse button is working very well, you can be able to rotate the scene very easily. But mine, I think, is having some issues. That's why I keep on using these buttons here. So we need to select edges. So we go to edge mode, and you select this. You hold down Alt. If you hold down Alt, you click again to select the whole ring. You can call it a ring selection or edge loop. So another edge loop we need is this one. Select using Shift and then hold down Alt to click again, double click, and then we have two edges selected, two edge loops. So we have this edge loop and the other edge loop. So to close the two, you can simply right click and you go to bridge edge loops. Just like that, we have closed these gaps. You can also go to edge and bridge edge loops. Okay, that is one. So if you go back to the front, you have that gap inside. You have our other, this one here. Let's go back to object mode. Grab it, place it here, scale it a bit. All right. So you can already guess the next thing here. If you already guessed it, it's as simple as getting this one and duplicate it using Shift D. Shift D. If you use Shift D, you can scale it. But the problem is when we scale, we are scaling the whole of it. So how can we fix that? You can either go back and select, go back to point mode, go to edit mode. In fact, I think we should scale this in edit mode. So I'll do Control Z and we go to edit mode. We already have our duplicates right here. Edit mode, select, sorry about that. Now I think it is scaling based on the 3D cursor. That's the problem. So we might go to the cursor tool, place the cursor right there, and then you go back to the scale tool or just type use letter S for scale. I think I'm selecting a wrong thing because trying to scale. I think there's something else I'm scaling here. Is it this? I think I was scaling this one. But in actual sense, I need to scale this. So there's a problem here. I'm not yet sure what that is. But
It might be.
yes,
I think it's because the fact we're trying to edit this environment is selected.
yeah, I think so. I think we went in edit mode while selecting a different thing. And so let's first go to this mode here. Let me see what we are working with. Okay, so if you take a look at the logo and you take a look at what we have created, you notice that we have made some progress. Some progress, not much, but it is some progress. So I want to scale this in object mode. S on the x-axis, like that, a bit, just a bit. So the next one here is I wanted us to scale it, duplicate this and scale it. Let me first. I wonder time has run so fast this time. Only have like 10 minutes to go. Let's first finish this. This was like the duplicate that I made, right? Let me try to delete that. It's gone. Let me go back to the front like that. We have this, we have this. Okay, so here is what we are going to do. We could decide to delete. Let's duplicate this. Control Shift D. Shift D to duplicate and scale. So what we need is go to point mode. In edit mode, go to point and use one of these selection tools like the select circle. And let's select this. Now we are going to need to go to wireframe to be able to select those ones behind. So go to wireframe right here. So I just click and drag to add it to selection. If you accidentally selected this stuff and you want to deselect, you use control and you click. Okay, so we have this. This is what we want to scale, only that. So let's go back to material preview so we can see what we are working with, and then you go to S for scale. Then we scale this down like that. Okay, so we could even decide to go back to wireframe very quick and also scale this up a bit, because in between here there is also another circle. We need to give it some space to breathe. So scale letter S. Next, this other one here. So go back to edit object mode, select Shift D, duplicate, letter S for scale, and we have that Z to bring up the pie menu for the render modes. these render modes appear. You can bring up the display menu using letter Z, and then you can choose wireframe. And then you can go to point mode in edit mode, and then use this selection, select these outer ones. Letter S to scale, but scale while in this, while we can see what we are doing like that. All right, so that is this one is have modifiers on them. That's what this one means, the modifier. So I want to delete that modifier. I didn't actually want this modifier. We can introduce that modifier later on. Let's try to create this last one. So let's go back object mode, shift D to duplicate, S for scale. Shift D, duplicate, S for scale. Sounds a bit smaller. Z to get this menu, and edit mode, and go to point or a vertex. Okay, we have our edges already selected. Z to go back to material preview. S for scale. Hold down Control or Shift to scale precisely. All right, so the last one. The last one, Shift D, duplicate scale. Edit mode, scale. Right, object mode, go back to so this is what we have now. The weird stuff you see there is the modifier that we added, the subdivision modifier. So we are going to delete that from all the objects that have it. Now it seems like some of these we deleted, but it's still there. That's a big problem now. Object mode. Object mode. Now this whole thing, you can see it here as a big thing, but if we place it back on the logo, it will be the size that we have modeled it. Later on, if we bring back this job, I think we need to push back this job using this button, the move tool. Start building this stuff. Okay, that's one. The text. I think we might want to rotate this text. Sorry, rotate the text on Z axis. Sorry. First of all, use R for rotation, then Z, then 90. Then use the move tool to move the text in front. So I think it was supposed to stay right there. Same with this whole stuff supposed to go behind there. So let's leave it right there. Let's just pull this stuff behind. So let me first move this job. Then move this whole collection. So is G on the X, sorry. Select this. And move it backwards. Okay, we shall fix those issues in this model that we have created. But I think let's start the meeting again just in a few minutes, and then we can see if you have questions. If we don't have any questions, we'll probably do the rest of the modeling next time because the rest of the parts are similar. So let's start the meeting again for a few minutes to finish up this.